The wind at the training range carried dust like whispers of judgment. Cadets lined the firing lanes, laughter drifting over the sand as the sun poured heat into the back of their necks. They were young, loud, and certain of their place in the world, certain that the quiet woman at lane 12 didn't belong among them. She was smaller than most of them, her frame wiry, her posture almost humble. Her name stitched on the uniform read Sergeant Elena Ward, a name no one recognized, and that alone made her invisible. "Hey, Ward," one of the trainees called out, grinning over his shoulder. "You sure you're in the right field? Maybe the med tent's over there." Laughter scattered like shells hitting the floor. Elena didn't react. She simply adjusted the sling on her rifle, eyes fixed on the target downrange. 900 meters of shimmering air and heat distortion. Another trainee, tall and loud, called out, "Come on, let me teach you how to shoot before you embarrass yourself." Her fingers brushed the rifle's trigger guard, calm, measured, deliberate. "Let me teach you to shoot," she murmured softly, not as a retort, but as a promise no one yet understood. The instructor in charge, Captain Rhodes, rolled his eyes, more amused than concerned. "All right, people, let's see what the quiet sniper can do." He said it loud enough for everyone to hear. When Elena lay prone, the world seemed to slow. The breeze touched her cheek like memory, and in that thin breath between seconds, her heartbeat synced with the stillness of the rifle. The first shot cracked, not rushed, not dramatic, just certain. The target snapped with a hole dead center. Laughter faded. The second shot came half a second later, splitting the same hole. Silence settled like reverence denied too long. Someone whispered, "That's impossible." But Elena didn't flinch. She stood, brushed dust from her knees, and stepped away from the rifle, as if it had all been nothing more than breathing. Later, in the mess hall, the same cadets who had mocked her spoke in hushed voices. She must have gotten lucky. 900 meters, 2 bullseyes, nobody's that consistent. Maybe she cheated somehow. She sat alone, stirring cold coffee, her gaze unfocused. Her quiet wasn't shyness. It was something older, something carved out of loss and precision. Rhodes approached her table. "Ward," he said, "that shooting earlier, where'd you learn that?" She looked up, expression neutral. "A long time ago, sir," he smirked. "You're a reservist, right? No active SEAL record, no formal sniper qualification. Correct. Then consider this your lucky day," he said, dropping a clipboard. "You'll be demonstrating for the SEAL assessment group tomorrow. They need instructors to help test their new optics." Her eyes flicked up, calm, unreadable. "Yes, sir." When Rhodes left, a single word escaped her lips, barely a whisper. Finally, the next day's sun was harsher, unforgiving. Rows of elite trainees, SEAL candidates, lined up at the range, rifles gleaming like instruments of ego. And in front of them, Rhodes introduced her like a novelty act. "All right, gentlemen," he began, "this here is Sergeant Ward. She'll be giving you a little demonstration. Don't blink." The men smirked. A few rolled their eyes. Elena walked to the firing line with her calm steps, adjusted the scope, and said quietly, "You'll each take a shot first." They did. 10 men fired. 10 missed the mark by inches. When she took her turn, the world seemed to hold its breath again. She fired once, then again. 3 shots in under 4 seconds. Each one hit a mark that the others hadn't even grazed. Stillness, and then a deep, calm voice broke it. "That pattern," someone said from behind the line. "I've seen it before." Heads turned. A man in a dark blue uniform walked forward, ribbons shining subtly in the sunlight. His rank was unmistakable, Colonel Jack Ramsey, SEAL Command. He studied Elena for a long moment, his eyes narrowing. "Sergeant Ward, you were stationed in Kunar, Afghanistan, weren't you?" A quiet nod. "I read that report," he said slowly. "One sniper held off 24 insurgents while covering an evacuation. 7-hour standoff. Never missed a shot." The cadet's smirks faltered. Ramsey continued, voice level, but edged with something like awe. They said the sniper disappeared after the last extraction. I didn't know that sniper was you. Rhodes blinked, words dying on his tongue. Elena finally spoke, her voice carrying the weight of silence itself. I didn't disappear, sir. I was dismissed. The colonel's brows furrowed. On what grounds? Too quiet. Too uncooperative. Too not like them. Ramsey's gaze hardened. Around them, the wind rustled the flag at the edge of the field, a reminder of how easily honor can be buried beneath arrogance. He turned to the others. You laughed at her. You mocked this. He gestured at Elena's still form, her steady eyes. Every round you missed, she's already fired in a real war. Every mistake you make cost her a brother or a friend. The silence after that was a wound no one dared touch. Elena stood motionless, hands clasped behind her back. Ramsey faced her again, voice quieter now. You still shoot like that. She glanced toward the horizon. Only when it matters. Later that week, the base was hit with an emergency drill, a simulated hostage rescue. SEAL candidates, instructors, and officers all took part. What began as an exercise turned chaotic. Smoke, confusion, lave. Fire alerts echoing through the loudspeakers. Someone had triggered the wrong sequence, and suddenly the base was on lockdown. Panic broke discipline. Through the haze, one voice cut through the noise, firm, calm, commanding. Elena Ward. The colonel called. You're up. She didn't hesitate. Moving through the smoke, rifle held low, she became what she once was, unseen, unshaken. Every breath measured, every movement minimal. Targets appeared in the chaos. Pop-ups meant to simulate enemy combatants, but in that confusion, it felt real. She dropped 5 in under 10 seconds, switching lanes with precision so fluid it looked rehearsed by nature itself. Her breathing didn't change, her hands never trembled. Rhodes watched, dumbstruck. When it ended, the scoreboard lit up. Record score, 100% accuracy. No one laughed this time. Ramsey stepped forward, eyes steady on her. You saved real lives out there once, and just now you reminded everyone what a real shooter looks like. Elena met his gaze, and for the first time there was warmth in her voice. Sir, I just did what I was taught to do. He smiled faintly. Then maybe it's time you start teaching again. Weeks passed, and word spread the quiet sniper was back. Trainees who once mocked her now lined up for her classes, standing straighter, speaking softer. She didn't raise her voice, didn't flaunt authority. She taught by silence, by making them feel the stillness before a shot. Patience, she would say, isn't waiting, it's listening. Her sessions became legend. Cadets wrote her quotes on the inside of their rifle cases. Silence is not weakness. It's the space between chaos and precision. When the colonel visited one morning, he found her on the same range where it all began. The sky was gold, and dust shimmered like memory. You've rebuilt this place, he said quietly. She shook her head. I just reminded them what respect looks like. He studied her for a moment, then nodded. There's talk of reinstatement. Instructor Corps wants you back full-time. Elena's gaze lingered on the targets ahead, then softened. I don't need a title, sir, just a purpose. He smiled. You already have one. Months later, a new class of recruits gathered. Among them was a young woman, nervous, uncertain, hands trembling as she adjusted her rifle. Elena knelt beside her. What's your name? Cadet Hayes, ma'am. You ever shot before? Hayes shook her head. No, ma'am. I'm afraid I'll mess it up. Elena smiled, faint and knowing. Then let me teach you to shoot. The words echoed, the same ones that had once been thrown at her in mockery. Now they carried weight, kindness, and quiet power. Hayes fired, missed, tried again, missed. Elena placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Don't fight the shot, breathe with it. On the third try the bullet found its mark. Hayes blinked, disbelief flooding her face. Elena nodded, That's the first step. The next one is believing it wasn't luck. Behind them the colonel watched, arms folded, a faint pride in his eyes. The base had changed because she had refused to shout back. She had let her silence do the speaking. By dusk, the training grounds were quiet again. The desert wind hummed against the flags, carrying the faint echo of her voice. Somewhere, cadets still whispered about that day, the day they laughed at a woman who needed no defense. And when the sun dipped low, the shadows stretching long and golden across the range, the legend of the quiet sniper lingered, not because she spoke the loudest, but because when she finally did, every heart listened,